Well, hello and welcome to the January 2019 meeting for the Google Educators Group of Ohio. This is a monthly meeting. Well, sometimes monthly. We haven't quite been exactly monthly recently, but that's okay. This is a intentioned to be monthly meeting where we take a look at everything new in G Suite from the last month, sharing Google tips and tricks, answering questions related to using Google tools in schools. My name is Eric Kurtz, and I am a tech integration specialist at the Stark Portage Area Computer Consortium, or SPARC for short. We're an information technology center serving schools in Northeast Ohio. However, this meeting is open to anyone in Ohio or outside of Ohio if you'd like to join us. Basically, if you're a Google using educator or interested in how G Suite can be used in schools, we welcome you here. All of the resources for today's meeting can be found in our Google Doc editable agenda, which can be located on our GEG Ohio website. That site is bit.ly/GEG Ohio. So if you're watching the video live or recorded and you don't have the document open to follow along with what we're doing, take just a moment and head on over to that website. Again, that is bit.ly/GEG Ohio. And that will take you to a page that looks like this. And once you get to that GEG Ohio page, you will see a monthly meetings link in the middle as well as in the top corner. Either way is fine. That will show you a list of our meetings for the year. Right now, here's our January 31st one that we're on today. And there is the agenda link that we are working through, as well as the live video stream that you're watching now live or recorded later. Either way is fine. And that'll get you into the document. This document is editable, so please do feel free to add your own comments, questions, resources, links, and such. There's lots of different sections in here that might be appropriate for, such as the upcoming events section. If you've got a conference you know about or a training event that you would like to throw in there, that's fantastic. Please do so. There's a Q&A section where you can ask any questions you have, and hopefully someone in the group between us all will be able to answer those. And there's even a show and tell section where you can share just cool things. What are you doing with G Suite? What's a neat resource you've come across recently? Anything you'd like to share? You've got a blog post you've written and you'd like to share it with the group? Please do. This is all about sharing. We really want people to take advantage of that. So feel free to edit the document. If you prefer to leave a comment in the document, you certainly can do that as well. You can just highlight and boom, hit a comment in the side. We also do have the YouTube chat going on. And I will do my best to keep my eye on that while we're going through this as well. If you prefer to chat in the YouTube chat, that works as well. Now, in the future, rather than just watching the live video, if you'd ever like to jump in the Hangout with me and share a resource, take part in our discussion, I'd love to have you in. Just send me an email ahead of time and I'll get you an invite so you can pop on into the Hangout, and then you can talk live and share some resources or ideas or examples of how you're using Google tools in your school. With all that said, let's go ahead and get into this agenda and get this meeting started. It has been a little while, as I'm sure you can tell. I think our last one was the end of October, so we missed a couple of months there. It has been a bit of a crazy busy time. And then, of course, once you hit the holiday season, the Google updates really do slow down. There's not a lot that comes out. Definitely in December, there's not much. And even November leading up to it, there really weren't a whole lot of new things. But with the new year, we do have a lot of new things rolling out. So today, as we go through this particular agenda, it looks a little intimidating. Trust me, we never go through everything in here. It's really just for your reference. I'm just going to pull out a couple of key things, in each of the sections to talk about. There's no way we would spend that much time going over all of this stuff, but it's there for you. If it's something that you're like, oh, Eric didn't talk about that, but that's an update or a resource that sounds interesting, follow the link, check it out. Basically, I just try to curate all this information throughout each month and put it together in one document. This one does span, like I said, a little bit more time than most of them do, but that's the idea. So let's go ahead and let's get on into this. So we've already covered who I am. So hi again, I'm Eric. As far as important links go, there is a a couple of links I want to draw your attention to. One is the one we always mention every time, which is our sign-in form. Tell you what, I'll just highlight that in green so the sign-in form jumps out a little bit. We do ask that people, if you don't mind, take a moment to sign in to the meeting so that we can send appropriate numbers to Google. For our GEGs, the Google Educator Groups, they do want to know how many people attend those. And so if you follow this link here, it'll take you out to this form where you can put in your name and address and where you work and just choose today's date and of course how you attended, which is online. Sometimes we've done some face-to-face ones, but not when we're just doing these regular monthly ones. And then they do ask if this is your first time attending a Google user group meeting. That information, again, I do send those numbers over to Google. I don't use your email address for that, but I do use the email address to send a certificate of attendance out so that you will get credit for attending this. If you're, if you need to get hours for like PD, by filling all this out, I also will generate a certificate of attendance for the event. So I appreciate that. So that's one key thing we want to mention. The other thing, and this is definitely an important link going forward for a lot of folks here, is we are having a shift in how people are going to be able to communicate with the rest of the group. For a long, long time, since the beginning of Google Educator Groups, we've been using what are called Google Communities, Google Plus Communities, and this is something that definitely shows up in the announcements of what's new in Google. But you may have heard that Google is shutting down Google Plus for consumers. Now, this does not affect G Suite for Education. So if you've got a school Google account, which I'm assuming most everybody we're talking to here probably does, this potentially won't affect you. Having said that, I know there's a lot of schools that don't use Google Plus. They don't have it turned on. So I know a lot of folks who have joined our online forum in the past have done so with a personal Google account. So the forum, I'll show you where that's at. If you go down to, actually, if we just go back to our GEG Ohio page, that'll be the easiest place to go. If I just go back to our GEG Ohio page. So on our GEG Ohio page, we had a section that we called discussion board. That was just the name I was using for it. And that's the Google Plus community. So this discussion board link took you out to a Google Plus community. And this is what has served for a long time as our shared chat forum for GEG Ohio. I mean, we currently have 3,884 members. It doesn't mean they're all active, but hey, they all have access to it. And this was just a really nice way for people to be able to share resources, ask questions, say, hey, heads up, there's an upcoming training, or here's a neat new tool I came across, or I'm struggling with something. Can somebody help me with, how to do something in the admin console or whatever it might be. So this has been a very valuable tool for years. I'm going to forget how many years we've been doing this, but quite a long time. Well, that's where we've got a little bit of a challenge now, and that is Google decided in the last 6 months or so that they were going to turn off Google Plus for consumers. So if you've got like a regular @gmail.com account, and there's a lot of reasons behind it. Partly it's just, it just never really took off the way they had hoped. Google Plus was supposed to be like a Facebook competitor or a Twitter competitor or something like that. And I mean, it did take off really well in the education community. Lots and lots and lots of educators really embrace Google Plus, and that is testified definitely by taking a look at the amount of communities that are out there. There's like just the regular G Suite for Education community has like 250,000 people in it. I mean, that's really impressive. Yeah, but that was kind of an exception. Google Plus didn't really take off for everybody else out there. So with that said, and there were some security issues and some other things that just helped kind of turn up the heat a little bit on the issue. Google said, hey, we're going to keep Google Plus running for enterprise and for schools if you've got like a G Suite account, but we are shutting it down for individuals. Well, we knew this was going to happen. We thought it was going to be a lot later. I think they were talking like next early fall. Well, they have moved that date up to April, when they're going to be shutting down the personal Google account access to Google Plus. So that means our GEG Ohio forum that we've used, realistically, I'm sorry to say, I just don't think it's going to be a viable forum going forward. Now, here's what I mean by that. If you have a school Google account, you can still use Google Plus. So you're saying, well, Eric, don't we all have school Google accounts? Can't we all just use that instead? And I mean, sure, we can. I mean, it's not like we're going to get rid of this. I mean, it's still going to exist. We're not getting rid of the GEG Ohio forum there, but I'm worried it's going to eliminate some people from being able to participate, because like I said, even though you can use a school G Suite account to access Google Plus going forward, a lot of schools they just haven't turned on G Plus. They haven't turned on the Google Plus service because they didn't think it was something that was valuable, or something that was, in line with what they were needing their staff and students to do. So what I'm worried is we're going to have people that get shut out. And I just don't want that ever to be the case. I always want to make sure that whatever we're using, anybody can join, anybody can participate. So having said that, what I'm thinking is the best option, at least for now, hey, I'm open to whatever suggestions, but the best option that I can think of right now is to use a Google group instead. Now, Google Groups have been around forever. It's just an email distribution list. I'm sure you probably belong to several Google Groups as is. I know I do. I'm on quite a few of them. And so because it's a really low barrier to entry, pretty much as long as you've got a Google account, it doesn't matter if it's a school account, a personal account, you've got a Google email address of some sort, you're fine. You can join a Google group. And so for now, that's the plan, is to do that. And so what you'll see is in the agenda, I have a little blurb here that talks about the new GEG Ohio Google group. In the update section, I break it out in a little bit more detail there, where I say you can now head out to this new GEG Ohio Google group. And what this will look like when we get there, it's just me saying just testing. There's not much. I just set this up. So there's really nothing there yet. But when you get there, you're going to see it is a Google group forum, which exists in two ways. You can access it through the web, or you can just access it through email. You certainly don't have to go to the website to do it each time. You'll just get emails afterwards. But to start with, if you say, okay, you know what, I would like to participate in that. I would like to be a part of that forum, knowing that we've had this G Plus community forum for a long time, and now we may not have that option for everybody. If you would like to be part of the new discussion forum, just head on out to the link that we have provided in here. Once you do that, you can click on this button that says Join Group to Post. And that's really it. That will let you join. Now, anybody can view the group. So you don't, again, just like the Google Plus one was, you were never required to join the Google Plus community to see what was there. You could just bookmark the community and just visit and just see what other people had posted. The same thing is true with a Google group. You can just bookmark this forum and just periodically come back and see what resources are being shared. Having said that, I mean, the most valuable part of the community is participating. It's, getting notified when new questions are asked or resources are shared, and sharing what you have, bringing your content to the group and making us all better together. So my suggestion would be you can go to the forum, click the Join Group to Post button, and that will let you do that. Alternately, you can send an email to GEG Ohio plus subscribe at googlegroups.com. That'll do the same thing. You'll get an email back that says, we have received your request, and there'll be like a join this group link in there. You can click in that confirmation email. Either way, that will let you now be a part of that. Now, the way I've set it up, because trust me, nobody wants to get overwhelmed with email. Nobody wants. I totally get that. If it just becomes noise and it's hard to, filter through, that's never good for anybody. So a couple of things just to mention. Once you join a group, so here I'll go in. I'll join with my, this is my work account. I set it up with my personal account. So I'll come in here and join with my work account. So I'll hit join and I'll go ahead and say, I want to join this group. And let it get me in the group. There we go. So now I'm in the group. Now, once you're in a group, you can manage. Let me see if I can find where that is at on this screen. I might have to check somewhere else here. Sorry about that. You can manage your notifications. Oh, there they are. I knew it was there. I was just looking in the wrong corner. Sorry about that. I can come in here and I can go in and manage my my preferences. And actually, I could have done it when I signed up. I apologize for that. During the sign up, it was right on the screen in front of me. I'm just so used to going back in later and making changes to things. When you go to sign up, you can actually choose your frequency of notification right at that moment. But like me, if you just hit OK and move on, you can get back to it later. Up in the top right-hand corner, there's a little button up here, and there's a membership and email settings thing. That just takes you right back to what you did to sign in. And what you'll see is there's an email delivery preference. And you can say, how do you want to get updates? And so you can say, hey, every time somebody posts something to the group, send me an email. That's fine. I don't mind. I just notify me every time there's a new message. Or you can say, you know what, let's not do that. Let's do a daily summary. I don't want more than one email a day. It'll just show me everything put together in one message. And that way I can check and see if there was something I was interested in. There's also the combined updates where it waits for 25 messages, which that may not be appropriate. I don't know. We probably don't have that many messages that would be going out. So I'd say either, being notified each message or getting a daily summary seems reasonable. There is also the don't send email updates. That's totally a totally viable option. If you're like, you know what, honestly, I'll just bookmark the page and every now and then I'll come back. That's fine. That is not a problem at all. You can just bookmark this and then come back to the forum and scroll down through it and you can see all the messages there. Now, when it comes time to posting, as far as sending a message, most people would probably just do that through email. So if you just send an email to gegohio@googlegroups.com, that's it. That's all you have to do. That message will go out to every single person who is in the group, as well, depending upon their notification preferences. So either they'll get an immediate email or they'll get it in part of their digest or whatever the case might be. And it will also show up on the web page in the forum here. It'll show up. So you can do that. Or if you want, you can also just post on the forum page. If you prefer to go to the forum page and hit new topic, you can just hit new topic and you can post a new message to the group right there as well. So basically what this is, like I said, is trying to come up with a way to still allow for community involvement. This does not in any way change our regular GEG Ohio website. This isn't changing. What's going to change is my link, the discussion board link. I'll still keep this link for people to get to the old Google Plus community, but I'll kind of deprecate it down the page a little bit. And instead, what I'll do is I'll put the Google group as the primary way to have a discussion going forward. Now, if you've never participated in those discussions, maybe everything I just said to you means nothing at all to you. And you're like, Eric, we just watched the monthly meetings and that's fine. And if that's the case, hey, that's great. But I would encourage you, to consider joining the email group. I will say one other thing I will throw into the mix here. When you do get the emails, by the way, I've also tried to make sure that this is the case. any email that gets sent to the group will have a very specific prefix. It's going to have brackets, the square brackets with GEG Ohio inside of the brackets. And the reason why that's going to be in the subject line is I like to filter my messages a lot of times, and that just gives you one more way to easily identify any email that comes through the GEG Ohio group. That way, if you create a Gmail filter and you say, hey, anything that comes from bracket GEG Ohio bracket, that's an email from the group. I want to put that automatically into this label folder / thing, or I want to do something with it. I'm just trying to find ways to make it easy for you to be able to identify those messages so they fit into your workflow. If you want to, put them into a certain folder or do something with them as well. All right, sorry about that long rant there, but we knew it was coming. We've talked about this for I don't know, last 6 months. I know it has been mentioned in several of our previous meetings. We knew something was going to happen. I looked at, do we do a Facebook group? Do we do, Edmodo? Do we do this? Well, again, this is a Google educator group meeting. So I figured let's stick with the Google tool, because chances are, maybe somebody here doesn't use Facebook or they don't use something else, but you're probably a Google user if you're, listening to these. And so, from the best I could feel on this, I thought that a Google group is at the moment, our best solution for a discussion forum. And that's the idea. We have these meetings once a month, maybe, not always. What about all the in-between time? How can we stay in touch? How can you reach out and get help if you're stuck on something? How can you let everybody know, hey, there's a great PD opportunity coming up? Well, that's what the Google Plus community was for. And so I don't want to let that go. I think that's a valuable resource to be able to still communicate. So we're going to do that moving forward with this Google group instead. If you have suggestions for me on how to improve that, how to make that better, I'm all ears. Let me know, and I am happy to make adjustments as we go through so that this, again, meets the needs of everybody as best as possible. All right. Whew. Wow, there we go. Sorry about taking that much time on that, but I also wanted to make sure we got that out to everybody. All right, well, let's keep on going. I don't see any questions on that at the moment. I'm seeing just a few comments saying they are sad to see that Google Plus is going away for the consumers. I totally agree. Me too. But yes, this will be an option for us all to stay in touch in between the meetings. All right, let's keep on moving. So that gets us through the important links. Make sure you sign in for the attendance, and when you get a chance, totally optional, but my encouragement, consider joining the Google group for discussions in between the meetings. Upcoming events. Well, if you're not from Ohio, these probably aren't going to apply to you, so I'll make them quick. But for those of us that are here, just want to make sure these are on our radar. OETC is coming up real quick here. So we're within like 2 weeks of OETC. My goodness. How does this happen so fast? So this will be in Columbus as usual. Looking forward to seeing you guys there. I do want to mention, though, for anybody who's coming to OETC, you gotta come to our mixer. So TILO is a group, the Technology Integration Leaders of Ohio, and this is an awesome group that exists statewide. It also has a Northwest, Northeast, and Southwest chapter as well. And it's for really it's not just googly stuff. This is for anybody in Ohio who uses technology in schools, and you want to focus. You're a tech coach, you're a tech integrator, you're a tech savvy using teacher. You're excited about using technology in your classroom. That's what TILO is all about. It's helping people use technology in their classrooms. Well, we're going to do a mixer on Wednesday, February 13th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Park Street Tavern. There's a little flyer linked in here as well. We're calling it Tech Connection. I did not come up with the idea because it takes much more creative people to do such things, and those who who came up with this did a really great idea of thinking about this, and it's sort of like a love connection sort of fun idea where we're going to be having food and games and fun, and playing a couple of rounds of Tech Connection, where we're going to be, letting people match up based upon their technology interests. So that's going to be fun, and that's going to be cute. So I would absolutely encourage you, if you are at OETC, stop by the Park Street Tavern from 5:30 to 7:30 on February 13th and join in on the fun. It's going to be a blast. Really looking forward to doing that. Then we've got Neotech coming up March 6th through 7th. Please do notice we're at the Cleveland Convention Center this year, not at Kent as in the past. There's an Ed Camp Cleveland coming up April 13th in North Ridgeville. The ITIP Ohio Summit, which is a wonderful annual Google-focused summit, will be back in Sandusky this year. It jumps between there and Columbus each year. And then returning this year, the Tech and Trek Conference. Not specifically just Google related, but it probably will have a few googly things in it. This is a really neat, unique conference held at Hiram College. And the point of this is a blending of technology with, I guess we would call it wellness, is probably a good way to characterize it. So it's something where there's sessions on technology followed by a hike or a kayak ride or yoga. It's so neat. It's a really neat blending of those two things. I haven't really seen anything else quite like this. I spoke at it last year and hope to be back there again this year. But here's some info on that coming up in June. And then just to get it on your radar, I know it's a long way away, but it'll be here sooner than we think. The Spark Tech Conference, the one that we run here at Spark each August. Little bit of a different date this year, still the very beginning of August, just a little bit later. Normally we do the first Friday. This time the first Friday falls on the 2nd. And when we checked with our schools, the vast majority felt that the 9th would be a better match. The 2nd was just a little too early to have everybody back for that. So just heads up, if you're used to saying, oh, it's always the first Friday, so that must be the 2nd. Please do notice it is the 9th this year. We're just 1 week later just because of how early that first Friday would have been. Should be having registration, call for proposals, vendor proposals, all that very, very soon. Typically, we start all that late February, early March. So keep your eyes out for that, but save the date for now. All right, so that is what's coming up as far as some events, and I hope you can plug into those. If there's something I did not mention, if you are aware of an event or a training that is not listed here, please throw it in so we can all benefit from it. That brings us to the main chunk of our meeting, which is what's new in Google, followed by Q&A if you have any questions, and followed by show and tell if there's things you would like to share. As I said, we are not going through all of these. I actually printed this out ahead of time and gave myself a few notes on the ones that I thought we probably should highlight these because again, they're just so much stuff. So I'm just gonna pick a few throughout here, and if there's something that I skip over that you're interested in, the links are all there. Please do investigate them on your own. So what's new in G Suite? Well, first of all, we're going to pick just a couple things from the previous months out of November. There was quite a few things that happened. The two things that probably jumped out the most to me from November was the fact that we got the beta programs opening up for 2 new features. And those 2 new features were Google Forms Locked Mode and Google Classroom Gradebook. So if there's a chance that maybe your district hasn't signed up for these yet, these links here will take you out to information on how to sign up as an administrator for the beta mode for locked quizzes, and then this one as well, the beta mode for class gradebook. And there's a link in here as well. Yep. Actually, there's a link right down there that'll get you out to it. And that will actually get you to all of them right there. And so this form allows you to say you have an interest in using the gradebook beta and the locked mode for quiz beta. I did sign up for both of those for my domain or domains. So here's basically what that means. When it comes to Google Forms locked mode, here's the idea. If I create a new Google form, which by the way, if you haven't, by now you probably have seen this little trick, but if you just type in forms.new or docs.new or sheets.new or slides.new, that .new domain allows us to generate a new document, slideshow, form, Google spreadsheet without having to go to Drive to do it. Now, there's still definitely a reason to go to your Drive and do it there, just because you can make sure you're putting it in the right folder and so forth. But if you just need to, boom, make a quick document, docs.new, or in this case, I just typed forms.new, and that's it. And there's a new form as quick as that. Saves you a little bit of time. Every little bit helps. But here's the idea. If I'm here in Google Forms, I'll zoom in a bit here, and I go up to my gear icon and I go to quizzes and I make this into a quiz, you now see we have this new option here where we can turn on locked mode. And the idea is that if your students are using Chromebooks, now, again, this is a Chromebook specific thing. So if they're using like Macs or, PCs, this would not apply. But if they are using Chromebooks that are being managed through the school, this allows you to distribute this quiz to those Chromebooks in locked mode, so that while the students are taking the quiz, they're not able to leave the quiz. And so you can't open up other tabs, you can't launch other applications. It's like a kiosk mode, so you're just taking the quiz until you complete that. That's a request that's been around for many, 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 many years, to just add another layer of academic integrity to assessments, to say, when you're taking this quiz, just take the quiz. Don't be jumping off onto something else and Googling the answers or so forth. Now, there's a whole discussion we can have on, well, should a quiz be such that you can Google the answers? Is that a high quality assessment? Should we be asking questions that are, deeper than that? And I will certainly not go into that whole discussion right now. I think that's a good, healthy discussion to have. We should always be considering our assessments and making sure that they are high quality and are helping us really understand what our students know. Having said that, it's fantastic to have another tool in our pocket, though, in this whole process, and that is what locked mode will allow you to do. So that was the one beta. The other beta, the one that is the gradebook. Actually, I'll just drag this over from another tab. This is just a demo. So there's no real kid grades. This isn't like real students. It's just a demo one I was using to play around with. But when you have your classwork and you start creating assignments and so forth in Google Classroom, now there is a grades tab. I'll zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. And this is part of that gradebook beta. And so now you can have an actual gradebook tab inside of your Google Classroom, rather than in the past you had to, all you could really do was like export a spreadsheet. There was no gradebook page. It collected the grades, but you could like spit them out as a spreadsheet, but you couldn't just get in and see them like this. Here you can go in and you can actually edit the grades right here, and can return it to the student if it hasn't been returned yet, go directly to what they submitted. You can also set up categories in your little gear here. You can go down to your categories and you can set up categories like practice and achievement, like formative versus summative, or if you did like homework quiz test or something like that. And you can decide how the final grade is calculated, such as is it weighted by categories. And then with that done, now you get the overall grade and you get grades per assignment and so forth. So, so that's nice. Good to have that as a available option. All right. Well, hey, let's keep on going. So where I was, let's see if I can remember where I was. We were talking about a new feature that was specifically for administrators. I was saying, hey, if you're an administrator, you might appreciate this. That was from December 11th. So I'm going to mention this real quick again. This is more of an admin sort of a thing, but worth being aware of, having this on your radar. So when we turn on services for our users, like, hey, you've got access to Google Photos, or you've got access to Google Sites, you can make websites, or whatever the case might be. In the past, you had to do that by what was called organizational unit. So basically, like you'd have an organizational unit called staff and one called students. And then in students, you'd have like, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, high school, whatever. So you could say anybody in this organizational unit, anybody in grade 9 gets access to blah, 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 blah. And they could say, you've got access to certain features, whether it's a particular program or a permission within that, like you want to tweak what you're allowed to do with those programs. The only problem with that, I mean, it's great. That was wonderful. The only problem is it's not very flexible, because you can only really be in one organizational unit. You're either a 9th grader or you're not, and so if you said, well, but we've got just these couple of kids and they need access to Google Sites to be able to make a website, or they need to be able to receive emails from outside of the domain because they're doing some communication with some folks outside of the school. And there wasn't an easy way to do that. You actually had to move the users out of that organizational unit and put them in a totally new one with special permissions. Well, what this is all saying is that, hey, guess what? You can now do this another way. You can do it with groups as well, with Google Groups, just like our GEG Ohio Google group we were talking about. And so Google Groups, you can be a member of a bunch of different groups. You could say, oh, I'm a staff member, and so I'm a member of all staff. I'm a member of math teachers. I'm a member of the technology committee. You can be in a bunch of different groups. And so this gives administrators the ability to optionally control access to services by groups, not just OUs. So really, it just means more flexibility. It means the option to really fine-tune things for our students and for our staff as needed. So just wanted to, that's not a real awesome, flashy one, but I just wanted to get it on your radar. All right, let's keep going. Just a couple out of December. Most of it's January stuff. Another one that's worth mentioning that I thought caught my eye in December was that Chrome OS is going to get a built-in option to hand draw annotations on PDFs. Now, this is pretty cool. We already have this feature inside of Mobile Classroom. So if you use Google Classroom as a mobile app, like on an iPhone or an iPad or an Android phone or an Android tablet, or if you're using a Chromebook that supports Android apps and you're using the mobile version of Classroom on a Chromebook, the Android version of it. We've had this. This is not a new feature for that. We've had the ability inside of, for example, Google Classroom to open up a student's document and then write on top of their document to annotate on it, and it would save a PDF from there and with our annotations. Well, the rumor here, the scoop that that 9to5 Google shared, is that this is going to get hard baked just into Chrome OS in general. That it's just going to be a part of the operating system. That if you're using a Chromebook, anytime you go to open up a PDF, you're going to have built-in annotation tools. So it's kind of like using Kami or using DocHub, but you wouldn't even need those services then. It's just going to be built in, and you'll just be able to draw right on top of PDFs right away in anything. So again, I like that because it's just the idea of making the experience just a lot more natural, not having to jump between, one program to another. Well, you can make it happen, but you got to do these 3 things just to be able to, hey, I got my Chromebook, it's a touch screen, I open something up, I can just draw on it. That's great. I think that's definitely a move in the right direction. So not sure how soon we'll see all that, but good to have on our radar. Last thing from December, Chrome launched a little program called Chrome Canvas. And we'll see. I don't know if I have anything doodled on. Yep, there's a couple of doodled on there. So what is Chrome Canvas? So Chrome Canvas is basically just a really fast web drawing app. So if you say, you know what, I need to make a quick doodle, I need to annotate something. Speaking of annotations, I need to annotate something real quick. Chrome Canvas, which is canvas.apps.chrome, allows you to go in and just create a quick new drawing. And you can just doodle on it. You can change colors. You can change the type of tool you're drawing with. And then, of course, when you're done, you can export that drawing. What you saw me do here, though, you might have seen this one, you can also add a picture instead. So instead of doing a new drawing, you can say, I want to upload an image, and it will upload the image, and then you can use all your annotation tools to annotate, on top of that image then, and of course, export that when you are done. So it's not like some crazy full-featured graphic design program. That's not the point at all. Chrome Canvas is just real quick. Hey, I just need to sketch something, export it, send it on its way. I need to annotate an image real quick. There you go. Fast as can be. Chrome Canvas will let you do that. How about let's get into January. So what happened new in this last month? A couple of fun things to get on your radar. I know this one's kind of small, but people have asked me about it, so I'm glad it's there, and that is the ability to assign unique colors to chart elements in Google Sheets. So this is something you can do in Excel, and you couldn't prior to this do this in Google Sheets. And basically what it means is that if you create a chart in Google Sheets, you could have like a bar graph where the series is blue, so every bar is blue. Now you could say, well, but you know, can't you have different colors? Well, it'd have to be a completely different series. Like you'd have to have multiple sets of data. Well, this set of data is blue, this set of data is red, whatever. Well, now what they're saying is, no, just within one series, you can now click on an individual bar and change its color. And believe it or not, I have literally had people ask me, can I do this? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't do that. You know, it was like 6 months ago. Happy to say we can. So that just wanted to let you know, get that on the radar there. Another thing that came out that same day was an announcement about the option to embed Google Drawings inside of Docs. Now, here's the idea. We've always been able to add drawings in Docs, but we weren't able to embed previously existing drawings. So what I mean is this: if I'm inside of Docs and I go Insert Drawing, in the past, if I did that, it did what this new option is. That's where it says plus new. This is what used to happen. I would get a drawing, a new drawing that I had to create at that moment. And then when I hit save and close, it would stick that drawing into the document. Now what we're getting is the option instead to insert an existing drawing. Say, hey, let me go out and grab a drawing that I already have. Let's go find one that's in my drive, and I'll insert that instead. So there's some benefits to that. You know, that way you're getting something that you've already like I said worked on in the past, and you're not having to recreate it or copy and paste it. That's what I used to have to do. If I was going insert drawing new, I'd then open up my other drawing in another tab. I would copy everything. I'd come over here and I'd right click paste everything, and then I would insert it in. So just another way. Now, as with all the embeds, it does do a live embed. So you can choose the option to link it to the original source, which means if you go back later and update that Google drawing, then it can update inside of the document. You pasted it in. So that's cool. That can make you be able to push out updates to that drawing, whatever it might be. If it's a chart, a graph, a cool header at the top of your newsletter, whatever the case might be. So heads up on that. Let's make sure everybody knows the 11th annual Doodle for Google contest is open. This is something that Google has been doing for 11 years, and it's where students are allowed to submit their own creative, artistic version of the Google logo as part of their Google for Doodle contest. I'm going to forget how far. I think it runs into March, and I'm sorry if I forget the exact date. It's been a little since I looked at it. If I see it right away, yeah, March 18th. You have until March 18th to submit these. There's scholarships to be won. There's tech prizes to be won, and the students are broken up into different age levels. So it's not like kindergarten students are competing with high school students. Really neat option to integrate some art into your curriculum with technology, but it also is using a theme this year, and the theme is When I Grow Up, I Hope. So this might also fit in nicely with maybe a language arts, writing assignment you're doing, where they're writing about when I grow up, I hope, whatever the case might be, and then they make a doodle to go along with it. So just heads up on that. Something else worth mentioning, Google Classroom got some more updates. I know I just mentioned some of these updates with the Gradebook. This is some additional updates that came out this month. Drag and drop for your topics and items, and some new themes that are available. Let me go ahead and pull that Classroom back up that I was just using a moment ago. Oops, Yeah, wrong keyboard, Eric. I got two computers now, so you know I'm going to keep grabbing the wrong mouse and the wrong keyboard. I got the one with no internet, and I got the one that does, and guarantee I'm like, why is that not typing? Yes, it's because it's the other keyboard, Eric. All right, let's see. Here's the one we were playing around with. So what are the new things? Well, like we mentioned, one of them is drag and drop. So if you have an assignment and you decide, hey, this assignment really should be somewhere else, you can click, hold down now, and just move that assignment anywhere you need it to be. Or entire units. You can go in and say, let's grab this whole class materials thing, let's move it down, or let's move it up. So drag and drop arrangement was added. And then the other thing is the themes. If you go into select a theme, there's now lots of new themes that are broken up into like English and history, math and science, arts, sports, other, and so forth. So you can come in now and pick a new look and feel for your classroom theme. Let that update, boop, and there you go. So they've got a whole bunch of new themes in there for us to use. All right, keep on moving here. The next thing, this is just another fun one. So on the 9th of January, Google launched an Etch-a-Sketch clone that they call WebSkeb, and so it's a digital Etch-a-Sketch. Is basically what it is. This is one of Google's little experiments they like to do as they're trying out new features in Chrome, and for this one they were basically trying to design some buttons to and actually that's a picture of it. Let me actually open it up live. Here we go. Here it is. There it is. They were designing, some technology to, make these buttons down here work in some fun, creative ways. And so if I rotate, that one goes horizontally, this one goes vertically, and as you can see, I'm drawing with an Etch-a-Sketch. So if you want to have a fun little retro creative activity for students, this could be a neat way for them to doodle, do a little art project using a web version of an Etch-a-Sketch. And it does have some other things that regular Etch-a-Sketches don't, like it's got a fancy mode that gives you like drop shadows or rainbow colored lines, which is kind of cool. But of course it has the shake. You have to have shake. How could you not have shake? So you got to click the shake button a couple times. Shake, shake, shake. There we go. All gone. It's all shook. There we go. And I can start over again. So they've even got the shaking down pat. So that's a great tool. All right, what else we got here? Oh, hey, this is a good one. On January 15th, applications opened for Google's Certified Innovator Program. Google has a lot of different certifications. There's Certified Educator Level 1, Certified Educator Level 2, Certified Trainer, Certified Innovator. Well, the applications for the 2019 Innovator Academies are now open that you can apply for. Google Innovator, it's a little different than some of the other certifications in the sense that the main focus is they're looking for folks who are using Google tools in creative ways to solve real-world problems that their students are dealing with. And so it's how are you using Google tools in a creative way? How are you, pushing it and doing something, neat with it? Different than maybe Google Certified Trainer, where the focus is more on doing professional development. Are you leading training sessions? Are you developing training, resources? So with the Google Innovator Program, what happens is you end up picking a project that you work on over the course of like a year or so as you, do this, creative thing, whether it's a project you've done before and you're expanding it or something new you'd like to tackle. Now, these do happen around the world in different locations, so you have to get yourself there. That's the only real challenge. They're in Sydney, London, Tokyo, Singapore, New York, Stockholm, and Brazil this year. So for example, when I went to the New York one. I went to New York in 2012 as part of that academy. You do have to get yourself there, but other than that, once you're there, you're good, and you go through with a group of usually 40 to 50 people in the cohort. And if you have other questions on that, certainly feel free to reach out. I'm happy to share my experience being a certified innovator as well. But it's a great program. As always, I think it's true with any of these things. the greatest value? Well, I guess it's everybody has their opinion. I think it's being able to connect, just connecting with so many neat people, the folks that you connect with through this, these other forward-thinking, innovative people from around the country and around the world, actually, and then having an ongoing community, with them. If you need to ask a question or share resources or learn from them, that is such a powerful feature of that. All right, just a couple, actually just one other update, and that's it. We'll move off the updates after this. The last update I'm going to mention is the updated roadmap for Google Sites. So quite a while back now, the new Google Sites rolled out. Seems odd calling it new sites after all this time, but we still do because that's Google Sites versus classic sites. And we've known for quite a while that the old version of Sites would shut down. Eventually, it would be deprecated and shut down, and everything would be new Sites. And trust me, new Sites is awesome. I really do like it. When it first came out, it was a little watered down. I will admit that. I mean, my first reaction was, wow, it doesn't do a whole lot of stuff. Well, they have consistently continued to add new features to it, and I'm very, very pleased with the progress that we've seen. Well, the question is, so when is old Sites really going away? When is classic Sites going away? So we finally got an update. It's been a while. We have not had an update in a while. And here's basically the gist of it. The final date to transition from classic Sites to new Sites will be the end of 2021. So we've got a little breathing room still. So I think since we're just at the start of 2019, we definitely have some time, but now we know that the functionality is going to last until the end of 2021 for the classic Sites. The reason why they've put, and this is a little pushed back, if you've wondered, it's like, I thought that was going to be sooner. It's because, thankfully, Google is listening and they're realizing that it's still missing some features. There are some things that classic Sites did that new Sites still hasn't done, And so if you look down here, they're talking about more themes and options for controlling the theme. Improved text controls. Yeah, you don't have a lot of flexibility with text. It's like it's bold or italicized, and that's about it, But now they're talking about more fonts and colors and styles, templates, being able to create custom templates, better integration with more G Suite products, API capabilities, so we can get some better app script support, some new page elements, tables of contents, image carousels. There's still some stuff that seemed to be missing there. I would say page level permissions, some of those things, but maybe they are coming and they just didn't bullet point them in this particular, because these are maybe just just a sample of some of the things. But the point is, we've got about 2 more years for Google to continue to ramp up the features in new Sites, which is encouraging. That's great. That's good. They're not going to pull the rug out on the old Sites until they can get parity between the two, and probably and hopefully even more. We'll even get some features maybe we didn't have in the old Sites as well. All right, that's all for the new stuff. I'm gonna pause there before we switch over to the Tell section here. Clearly, I skipped over a lot of things in there. I just wanted to highlight some things that I found most interesting or thought might be applicable to the broadest group of people here today. I'm going to pause and take a look and see if we have anything in our chat. And I apologize, this is going to be on the screen, guys, because I don't have a second screen. So sorry about that. But so if anybody has said anything inappropriate, you're live. Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. It all seems fine. Okay. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. All right. Don't see any more comments there. Fantastic. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's move on to no Q&A. So let's move on to show and tell here. This is where we, again, highlight some neat ways that Google tools are being used in our schools. And I'm not going to go through all these either. There's just a few that I definitely want to point out that caught my eye. But if they're in the doc, they're of some value in some way. So, I mean, they caught my eye. So I would encourage you to check them all out if you get the time to go through and explore all of these neat links. And I truly appreciate the people who have taken the time to make these blog posts and to share their ideas with us. So in the show and tell, I always do like to take just a moment to mention some of the new things that I've had on my blog recently. So on the Control Alt Achieve blog, these are some posts from January and I think maybe 2 from December. I didn't go any further back, even though we haven't had a meeting. I just grabbed a few from the most recent, maybe month and a half here. I did get an option or an opportunity to do some training locally for our art and music teachers. So we had a like an arts and music, fine arts day, and had sessions throughout the whole day. And I got to do a session for the art folks and for the music folks separately on using Google Tools. So this gave me a chance to pull together all of these resources and put them into a blog post. So if you know anybody who is an art teacher, who is a music teacher, and they're wondering, you know, what technology options are out there? What kind of things can we do with technology? Well, these will be a nice starting point. I did focus on Google tools. So trust me, there's so many other technology tools for art and music outside of just Google, but these I did focus on Google. So for example, with art education, we see lots of things like, you know, creating pixel art with Google Sheets, or Mondrian art with Google Sheets, or using Google Drawings to make self-portraits, or using Google Drawings to create mosaic art. Oh, some of the pictures aren't loading. Again, I'm tethering off my phone for this, so but it's cool. It's really neat when you go look at that. Things like Google's Arts and Culture website, using tools like Curator Table or Art Palette to search by color, AutoDraw to turn your little doodles into artwork, the Just Align app that lets you draw in 3D space and move through that, and record what you create in a 3D environment. And of course, the Doodle for Google competition. So there's lots of art resources in that one. And then same for the music, quite a few music resources there as well. These include things like the Chrome Music Lab with all of the experiments to learn about creating music and sound waves and chords and lots of stuff. There's 13 different experiments you can try out there. Groove Pizza, which lets you learn about creating beats, but also has a neat math connection because it also deals with angles and polygons and fractions, which is kind of cool. There's Groove Pizza. Then there's Mix Lab. We won't go through all these, but AI Duet, play a duet with the computer, Inside Music, Seeing Music, Semiconductor, so many neat ones. Again, Arts and Culture shows up here as well. And then some things that are not from Google but work with Google, like Flat, or Soundtrap, or Screencastify. All of those can have an interaction with your Google account in your Google Drive, and allow you to, in some way, create, explore, or use music. So definitely check those out for art and music teachers, but some of those even do crossover into math and science as well. Another recent post I did was the one of Google activities for primary aged students. So with this one, there's not really a lot of new stuff in this post. It's more that I put all of the stuff together in one place. I've had questions on occasion saying, hey, what are some good activities for kindergarten students, first grade students, second grade students? And I've had a bunch of stuff on my blog about that, but it's just kind of scattered around. So I just pulled them all together into one place, like, you know, the build a snowman or build a jack-o'-lantern, or the turkey templates, or the one fish, two fish, you know, sorting, creating storybooks with slides, pixel art with sheets, emoji learning activities for little ones, Rebus stories with Google Docs for, like, you know, winter or Valentine's Day or Halloween, using Google Drawings for for teaching math, pattern block activities, drag and drop poetry for like winter and spring and Valentine's Day. The Chrome Music Lab, that's great for little ones. Chrome extensions that can help younger students. The Mystery Animal game, read aloud videos on YouTube, and so on. So that one, pretty much it's anything that I've done related to primary students just pulled together in one spot to make it a little bit easier. A few other quick things I had done in the last month. Since it was a new year, I did do a blog post on using Google Maps, using Google My Maps, and any sort of a step tracker. I talked about using Google Fit. You don't have to use Google. You could use any step tracker that you have if you've got a Fitbit or whatever the case might be. But the key behind this was making it into sort of a game and integrating with Google My Maps. And the idea being that if you track your steps with whatever you use. In this case, I talked about Google Fit, but you could really use anything. The idea is you then use Google My Maps and you chart your progress over the year. So you keep track of your distance, how far did you go each day? And then in Google My Maps, you create a map and you drop a starting point. And then each day you basically use the measurement tool to see how far could you have gone in the real world if you had just been walking down the highway, for example. And then little by little by little, you start dropping these in. And so day by day by day, you have, this path you've taken. And so students could use this to see over the course of the year, how far could you get? Could you walk the Appalachian Trail? Could you make it across your state? Where might you go? And so it's just an idea of trying to, give a little motivation, because we all need that. We want to be healthy, but sometimes it takes a little extra push to get us there. And so this is a fun twist on using Google My Maps with your step tracker. All right, let's see. I did have another one that I did recently for a training. I was doing a training on add-ons for docs, and I've done this in the past, but it had gotten a little bit older, and some of the add-ons had changed. So I said, time for a refresh. And that's the beauty of technology. It's a moving target. So this one, I talked about 20 of my favorite docs add-ons. I would encourage you to check that out if you're looking for some new ideas on add-ons, maybe some that have slipped through the cracks that you're not aware of. I try to discuss each of them and what the value is in an educational setting for those. And then the last one I'll mention from my blog would be one I did on a specific add-on. It's called Writer's Highlighter. And this is an add-on that you can use to help search for well, it does a lot of things, but to help search your document for matches to a list of words that you have compiled. So let's say there's like some words you just want to avoid using, like very and really and maybe and perhaps and so on down the list. You can build this custom set of, commonly overused words, for example. And then when you use this add-on, what it can do is you'll point it to that spreadsheet with your words and then have it run, and it will go through and it will highlight all of the words in your document that match that list. Now you say, where can't I just press Control F and do a search myself? You sure can, but you have to do one word at a time. This will let you have this whole spreadsheet full of words to watch out for, and it will do a search all at once for those. So kind of nifty. Now it does other things too. It does document stats, and it'll also highlight your sentences by sentence length. So you can get a color coding of how long your sentences are. If you want to make sure there's a good variety in sentence length, that can be very important as well. So I thought that was a neat add-on. That was a newer one that had caught my eye and wanted to make sure people were aware of it. Aside from those, there were a lot of really neat templates being shared recently. So out of all the stuff in this doc, I'm just going to mention a couple here that really jumped out at me over this last month or so. For example, there were some Google Slides templates that got shared, a Guess Who and a Guess What game template. And so this allows you to make a copy of this Google Slide template and then fill in your own information as you're building a Guess Who or a Guess What game. And of course, there are some already filled in here to get you started, but you can replace them with whoever you would like, or have the students do this to replace it. And so it doesn't obviously have to be celebrities. It could be famous. It could be presidents. It could be literary figures. But the point is, it's a way to take your own version of a Guess Who or Guess What game and do it digitally. I thought that was cool. A couple others that were neat that I liked as far as templates go. This one I just saw the other day, the U.S. States Google Drawing template. And so what this does is it gives you a editable map of the U.S. as a Google drawing, where every single state has been created with the polyline tool, and you can go in and click on each state individually. Now, why would you do that? Well, because once you click on a state, you can now go to the fill color, and you could color it in whatever color you might want it to be. Now, this could be really interesting if students are doing research on states and then wanting to make a graph that communicates that information, whether it's their prediction for the next election, or whether it is the different laws, which states allow XYZ and which ones don't. It could be a lot of possibilities, but the point is, it's this awesome template that you can just go in. Somebody took the time, and you say, well, how much time? A lot. If you double click on any of these and you see all that teeny little blue or purple circles, that's a lot of little clicks to make that polyline exactly right for that state. So whoever did this, wow. Thank you for that work. That's quite impressive. So that one I thought was cool. Another one was the Build a Member of Congress activity for Google Slides. If you guys are familiar with my Build a Snowman or Build a Jack-o'-lantern, this led to the inspiration. And this wonderful educator, oh no, it didn't make a copy. Didn't make a copy. It's supposed to make a copy. I might be pushing my limits of my phone's bandwidth. If it doesn't, that's okay. I'll just describe it. But basically, shoot, no, that's okay. It's probably just running a little slow for me right now. But it's basically you use the same thing like the Build a Snowman, but you're building a congressman or congresswoman, and then you're writing about them. You're explaining what their stances are on different policies. So basically, you're building your ideal Congress member. And I thought, that is so clever. What a neat twist on that idea, to do the old, Build a Snowman thing, but apply it to something that would work for middle school or high school social studies. I thought that was really neat. Besides those templates, there were just a couple others that had I thought were worth mentioning. One is a blog post on creating your own mobile app with Google Slides. Now, this is something that we've seen for a while. This idea has been floating around, and several people have shared about this. But it's something that if you haven't thought of recently, or if you missed it, Sarah Kiefer does a really nice job of getting this back front and center. And here's the idea. If you've ever wanted to make a mobile app, or like, I don't know if I can learn programming, and there's a lot of hoops to jump through making a mobile app. The idea is you don't have to necessarily make a real mobile app. Instead, what you do is you make a Google slideshow that acts like a mobile app. And then you publish it to the web, and then people access it on their phone, and it functions like an app. They can even add the link to their home screen, and it even looks like an app. So for example, here's, now this is going to look kind of funny because it's on the big screen here rather than on a phone, but you design a Google slideshow so that as people, and we'll just get through the beginning, so that when people get to the home page, they have these buttons, shall we say, but all they are images that are hyperlinked to other slides. But it feels like an app. And when they click on it, well, I'm going to click on this part of the app. All it's doing is jumping to a different part in the slideshow. But on your phone, it feels like an app. And you can actually create your own sort of custom apps this way. I thought that is just so clever. I know we've seen that before, but Sarah does a really nice job explaining how all that works and what she's done with it. So I definitely wanted to highlight that. If you do, though, want to learn a little bit more about programming, so this wouldn't necessarily be like mobile apps, but apps script, if you say, actually, I do think I do want to get into some coding. Ben Collins, who I always sing the praises of, Ben is a wizard with Google Sheets. He provides a lot of great tutorials online as well as a lot of online courses. He has designed a course called AppScript Blast Off to teach you about creating Google Apps Script to make things like add-ons for Google Sheets, for example, or for other programs. And he has made this course completely free. So many times, a lot of this stuff would have a cost with it for a course, and rightfully so. He does a really nice job creating these. But on occasion, he just says, you know what, I'm going to give this one away for free. And so Ben has done that. And if you want to learn about AppScript, this would be a really nice way to get you started for those that want to go deeper into coding. And I think the last thing I'm going to mention here before we take a look and see if there's any other comments, or if anybody would like me to jump at anything else, I'm happy to. I did want to draw attention to this resource here on digital well-being. So Google has been posting a lot recently on digital well-being, and they have released, speaking of courses, kind of like Ben's course, they've released a mini course on finding better balance with technology in our lives. And so this is a totally free course that you can take through their Digital Garage website. It's very simple, a real short little course, but it takes you through some videos, and it talks about finding that balance. Like, we love, love, love technology, but we also have to make sure we're staying healthy and that we're, having good connections with other people and not just letting technology consume our lives. And so they've done this free course on digital well-being. Having said that, like I said, this is a common topic. This has really been popping up a lot lately. So much so that I went ahead and I put together a Google Doc where I've just pulled together all of the different posts that I've come across recently on digital well-being, most of them from Google. Some of them not, but most of them from Google. And all these articles are really talking about that idea of, whether it's mindfulness, whether it is balancing, work and life, whether it is social media and understanding how to keep it from having a negative impact on your life. I think this is an important discussion. I think it's something we need to be thinking about. So much so that I've even included a couple of articles at the bottom that I have written on a separate blog I do, separate from my Control Alt Achieve, although I do cross-post. I think these two I did cross-post, but I don't cross-post all of them. But I've even done some articles on digital well-being, on those sort of considerations about how do we manage technology and our lives together. So as important as all of this stuff is, I mean, don't get me wrong, guys, I love technology. I absolutely love the fact that it's provided me with a career and allowed me to connect with wonderful people all around the world and to make a difference in the lives of children. But as much as I love it, we have to make sure we're always taking care of the whole person, not just the technology end of it, that there's a lot more to us than just that. And something as awesome as technology can also be detrimental if we don't find those balances in our lives. And so I definitely want to draw attention to that as well. That would be the highlights from the last couple of months, everybody's attention to. I'm going to take a quick look and see through the document if there's anything that's been added that I missed. As far as comments go, let's see if we have anything in here comment-wise. And then I'm going to check the YouTube comments here again in a second as well. And I still do not have my, so good job,
phone, it's still tethering me here. So I don't know, I'm still dead in the water as far as internet goes otherwise. So I'm glad that is working. Oh, excellent. We've got the Akron. Thank you so much for putting that in there. Akron Public Schools. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I have been at that conference for several years as well. And June 11th through 12th, the Akron Public Schools conference that they do. Thank you for adding that into the list there. I do see that has been added in now. I don't see anything else in that section. No Q&A. And I don't think anybody had anything else in the show and tell. I don't see any comments there. So I'm going to take a quick peek over to our YouTube. And again, apologize for throwing this up there for everybody, but looks like Peggy's been active. So thanks. That's great, Peggy. Peggy says, can you share about this link, font formatting in Google Comments? Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, let's grab that one. Let me find it there in the list there. Ooh, yep, see, I did it again. Wrong keyboard. I knew I was going to do it again. Okay, font formatting in Google Comments. So this is from Jake Miller. Jake is a local friend of mine, but he definitely makes an impact globally. Jake is a technology integration person who does great creative things with G Suite and other tools, and is best known for sharing many of them in GIF format. Does a really nice job of taking a complicated idea and just boiling it down into just a nice, simple, clear, animated GIF. So one thing that he had shared, he shares quite a lot, so definitely check out Jake's site if you have not, but he was sharing about formatting the text in comments. And the idea that when you add a comment to a Google document, normally you think, oh, it's just regular text, it's just plain text. But it turns out that if you add some additional notation to your text, you can actually achieve things like bold and italicized and so forth. So for example, notice how he puts asterisks in front and behind, or he puts underlines in front or behind, or he puts dashes in front or behind of the words bold, italics, and strike through. And then when he applies that comment, the asterisks, the underlines, and the dashes actually render as formatted text, bold, italicized, and strike through. So just another way to, when you're leaving comments, have them be, you know, a little bit more, I guess, impactful for your students, that it's not just plain text, that there's something bold that you do want to draw their attention to. You have more formatting options with it. So that's a really neat find, and awesome for Jake to share that with everybody. All right. Well, I think that's it. And if I am missing something, I do apologize. I think I was able to catch all of those. So as we do wrap up, I do want to thank everybody who joined us for part one and hopefully part two. If you weren't able to stay live, I hope you are now listening to the recorded version of this, which again, I will put both of those out together so that people can access those two one after the other. But I want to thank you guys so much for being here on this cold day where we have battled the internet, but we have overcome. We have gotten through the loss of Wi-Fi and hopefully provided you with some valuable resources. As a final reminder, please do keep an eye on the website at bit.ly/GEG Ohio for upcoming meetings. Those do change from time to time. We do have several of them planned, but always check, because it's certainly possible that we may have to reschedule some, just depending upon how things work out with everybody's obligations. If you did not get a chance to sign up for our new GEG Ohio Google group, please do consider doing that, since the Google Plus community will be changing as far as consumer accounts will no longer have access to Google Plus. And we don't want to shut people out of that forum and not have an opportunity to connect. Please consider joining the GEG Ohio Google group. So that'll be an email distribution list that you can stay connected to everybody else in the community that way. And if for some reason you didn't get a chance, don't forget to also sign in for our meeting today. Underneath important links, there is a very, very short little form here that lets you sign in so I can send you a certificate of attendance as well as report the numbers to Google. Other than that, guys, thank you so very much for being here today. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but if nothing else, it gives us a good example of being flexible, having plan B with technology, and trying to find creative ways to roll with it and make the best of it. So thanks again so much, everybody, and we will talk to you again, hopefully next month, and in between through the group as well. Take care.